Okay, welcome to what we're going to look at today is parallel arrays. A parallel array, which is really hard to say, just means basically when you have more than one arrays but they all contain related information. So for example, if I want to create information on, say, the Beatles, then I could go ahead and I could create an array, something like forename equals, may as well make an array, George, Paul, John, and Ringo. Okay, so that'd be the first array that's going to store all their forenames. We then might have one for their surname, which is Harrison, McCartney, Lennon, and Starr. Okay, and then finally we're going to create one for the date of birth. But in the best Blue Peter tradition, there's one I made earlier because I can't memorise all the date of birth for the Beatles. But that gives us information that we need. So all the information at index 0 relates to George Harrison. All the information at index 1 relates to Paul McCartney. All the information at index 2 is John Lennon, and Ringo Starr on index 3. And we can see that by simply, if I want to display the information, I can put in forename 0, surname 0, and date of birth 0. And if I run it, it should pull out all George Harrison's details. There we go. So all that information, and that's because that this is what we call a parallel array. The information is related to each other, and all the information in each position is correct. But of course, parallel arrays only work if the arrays have the same number of places, if the arrays have the information in the same way. So for example, if I was to change surname and I was to put it McCartney Harrison, it doesn't know any better. It would just say George McCartney and Paul Harrison. Okay, because it can only go with the information we've got. But we can make use of a for loop. So for example, if I do for Beatle in range 4, okay, so for the 4 Beatles, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this loop from up there, but rather than doing 0, I'm just going to replace it with Beatle. And now when we run it, we'll obviously get 2 George Harrisons, but I can just hash that out, don't need that now. But you can see we've got George Harrison, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, so all that information can be taken out of it. But it'd be nice if it looked a little bit better, so let's make it look just a little bit nicer table when we print it out. So what I'm going to do is, I think what I'll do is I'll just leave that in 7 and 8, and I'll throw a line of stars in to get it out of the way. Okay, and then exactly the same thing for Beatle in range 4. Okay, full name equals, and it's going to be forename Beatle plus space. Now you'll notice when I'm doing the concatenation this time, I'm not putting in commas or anything like that, because commas works with the print function. Concatenation is when you add strings together. So what I'm doing is I'm adding in the forename and the surname with a space in between it, and I'm making it one string. Okay, obviously if you're doing this with numbers, you would have to cast them over to a string first of all. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print full name, comma, and then date of birth, Beatle. But that will make absolutely no difference, and you'll notice it's exactly the same when I do it. So when I run this just now, you'll see we've got George Harrison, and it looks exactly the same. It's not pretty, it's not in a nice table. So to put it in a nice table, we're going to make use of the LJust method. So we do LJust brackets 15. So what that's going to do is that's going to do a left justification for 15 characters. George Harrison means it's going to work just perfectly. You could play about with the numbers till you get the one you like the look of, but you'll see then we have immediately this difference where the first two, obviously I've just got the space in between it because that's what we did at line 13, but the rest of them go across. And if I wanted, I could add another 4 onto that. So if I make that 19 and run it, then voila, it fits underneath the stars. Looks very nice. And that's an easy way of just sort of putting their information out. So a couple of things we've learned today. Parallel arrays contain information that is related to each other, where each index, each place, as we go along, the list relates to one person, one thing. So George Harrison, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, and Ringo Starr in this particular case. And then we had a wee look at how we could create a table by using an LJust method. That's all for today. Thank you.